Thank you for joining us today in episode 72 of the Pool Chasers podcast. As always, our mission is to help educate and inspire in the form of a podcast. Well, stop one of the live tour was a huge success. We had an amazing time with everybody that came, so thank you so much for coming. It truly means a lot to us. Kyle and Justin Peak were great on the interview as well, and this episode is our live interview with them. If you're not familiar with who they are, they've been on the Pool Kings TV show for several seasons now, and they build some amazing pools. They share their story with us on how they got into the industry, how Peak Pools came about, and a pretty funny story on how they got to be on Pool Kings. It's a great interview, so we're excited to share it with you. We have 5 more stops on the live tour, so if you want to get tickets for those, they are free. Go to our website at poolchasers.com/events or click the link in the write-up below. Please enjoy this episode with Kyle and Justin Peak from Pool Kings. Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
Cool. Well, thank you guys all for being here. Appreciate it. You know, this is the first stop on the live tour for us, so we really appreciate all your support coming out. Sorry for the very long walk here. If you don't know, I'm Tyler. This is Greg. And this is Kyle, the producer. So we started the podcast about 2 years ago, and you know, obviously you guys have kind of been following it, so we appreciate that. We're going to kind of do an interview here with the Pool Kings. This is Kyle and Justin Peak. So if you guys wouldn't mind giving them a little hand for joining us, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us this evening, guys, for the first stop. We appreciate you both taking the time to do this here.
You're welcome. We're honored and happy to be here.
Thank you. So for those that don't know, I just kind of introduced you, but can you introduce yourselves and, you know, the Peak Pools?
Yeah, my name is Kyle Peak. I'm the owner of Peak Pools and Spas in Nashville, Tennessee. It's my
Justin Peak, his son, business partner.
I like that you guys are always wearing the same costume as you do on the Pool King show. It's easily to know who you are.
costume.
Yeah, I call it a costume. I could be wearing black today, and I might be wearing blue tomorrow. Who knows? But
you got to represent, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying you wear the same clothes every day. I'm just saying that.
Well, my wife would. But, yeah.
Well, then you probably do. That's good.
That's awesome. So we gotta always try to start with the backstory a little bit. So, Kyle, would you mind kind of sharing with us a little bit about yourself, kind of how you grew up in the industry and everything, how you got started?
So I've been in the pool industry for right at about 42 years. It's a long time.
I hate to say it, but it kind of is a long time.
It is a long time. I tell you, I shock myself sometimes. What's rare about it is a lot of people don't stick with it that long. You know, they will get in it and get a summer job and go away. But I started working for my brother-in-law when I was a sophomore in high school. And I was mixing cement in a wheelbarrow for $25 a day, all I made. Basically progressed through the industry from really started out doing cleanups and stuff like that, and then got into tile and coping and decking and plumbing, and I've done every single phase that there is in the pool industry for at least 2 or 3 years, each phase, except for electrical. I didn't spend a lot of time in that because I didn't like getting shocked.
No?
It wasn't fun.
The fun part.
Yeah, exactly. But we've had our own gunite crew. I ran the nozzle. I finished. I did a bunch of stuff. And now I'm just honestly too old to do all that kind of stuff. So I've got 2 boys. I got Justin here with me today. My younger son Corey is back at the office doing the fun stuff that we don't get to do. And I grew up in this industry. So it's really, other than changing tires at Firestone one summer for, I don't know, a couple months or something like that, it's the only job I've ever had.
Yeah. Well, you were telling us some story, but you kind of worked throughout these different big companies, right, and help you kind of develop what you guys do now.
Exactly. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I've worked for the largest, at that time anyway, it was the largest swimming pool company in the country. I was the regional director of operations, vice president of construction. I had 500 plus salespeople under me, 40 some offices. I traveled all over the country. I'm 3 million miles on American, lifetime platinum, never have to qualify again. But I'm done with that life, flying around doing all that kind of stuff. We kind of stuck with our own thing and started a family business, and we've been pretty successful at it. We've been pretty lucky. I mean, Justin, how long have you been doing it now?
I've been in the pool industry probably about 15 years. On and off, it's not the only job I've had, unlike my father. I went to college and got a bachelor's degree in information technology. Thought that's...
That was a nice little drop, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So some of us went to school,
Yep.
Hard knock school. That's the one I went to.
Yeah.
Growing up with him doing this, and, it was a summer job for me. Started out doing, demolition. You can't really screw up tearing something apart. I got really good at tearing it apart. Learning to build it's a whole other story. But, I never initially thought that this would be something that I'd want to make a career out of. Made a good summer job, went to school, did that, and during the summer, make a quick, couple bucks doing this kind of job. But then it ended up turning into a career, later down into life.
For sure.
So, I mean, you kind of handle more of the technology side of the business, like setting up the equipment, automation, different things like that.
Yeah, I handle a lot of the, programming all the pumps and all the, all the automation, all that kind of stuff. I love my house is, as many things as you can have automated. I like,
Ridiculous.
Pop on and say, hey, Alexa, do this, and she does it. I love that. In the pool industry.
Trust me, he doesn't know how to go flip the switch. If Alexa can't do it, it doesn't get done.
If you don't have to, then why do it?
The house is broke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when the internet's down, it's a huge problem because nothing in my house works.
Yeah, exactly. You can't flush the toilet if the internet's down. We got a problem.
That's awesome.
To speak on that just a tad, though, I'm old school, obviously. I've done everything paper and pencil.
Very old school.
Come on now. Paper, pencil, all that kind of stuff. So for me, change has always been very, very hard. If it works this way, it's not broke, there's nothing to fix. And I will say that Justin has really helped our company come into the future, basically, get into the 20th century, whatever, the 21st, 28th, what century
it's
are we
not
in?
the 1900s,
Oh.
it's 2000.
So anyways, he's automated a lot of stuff at our office, from the security system to all of our internet and everything through the office, and built our first websites and done all of that stuff. And most of our guys in the field now have iPads and iPhones and all that stuff. It's done on that versus writing everything down, coming back to the office and doing all that. So I will give him those props. I won't give him anything else, but I'll give him those props.
Well, that's a good one, though. It's kind of unfortunate, though, just watching the Pool King show that they don't ever show. We always talk about this, the equipment rooms or the automation and all the things that, us pool professionals actually want to see. And that's what your kind of biggest contribution to the company is. You don't really get to see that.
You don't.
Yeah, exactly. And, other than what you don't see on TV, I would say probably my favorite thing to do was running the machines. So I learned to do that really quick because when he was running the machines and digging, and I'm out there with a shovel, I'm like, oh, good Lord, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I can tell you that. So I learned how to run a machine, really quickly and got really proficient at that. So, before I started doing all that, my favorite thing to do was, dig all the pools, So, and I still enjoy doing all that, but it's gotten to where I've had to kind of pass the torch on that one. I have other things I have to be doing as much as I'd rather be driving a machine, but, Gotta learn the other ends of the business, not just in the field.
That's really cool. You enjoy it though. If you don't enjoy it, you shouldn't really be doing it, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
I mean, what kid doesn't love running giant machines? I mean, that's what my son wants to do. I want to, Dad, when I get older, I want to come work for you and run the machines. I'm like, there's so much more to this business than just digging a hole. But
just
I hear
machines
you.
And being on TV. That's what I want.
Oh yeah. I can
was
leave
that
the
easy.
TV part behind.
Right.
Yeah, the TV has not been fun.
So we know that, obviously father-son business, that's got to be, from my perspective anyway, it's got to be really difficult. I can never work with my dad every day. So how has that been, just kind of working side by side, father-son?
A struggle.
Yeah.
Especially when you're
It's
doing
tough.
it in the national spotlight. You have to act like you like each other, even though sometimes you really don't.
Even before the show, before you guys got on Pool Kings, it was a little
yeah.
bit difficult.
It's if you've ever worked for your parents, I mean, It's probably
tough.
one of the greater struggles in life, I would say. Trying to work for somebody, the last person you want to hear anything from is your father.
And I'll admit it. Both my boys, I am harder on them than anybody that works for me. Anybody, because right, wrong, or indifferent, I expect more out of them.
Sure.
I expect them to carry that torch and do the thing. So, in that respect, I've been probably really hard to work for. Really, really hard to work for. And they've both done a great job of trying to get along with me. But I have 6 grandkids. So between him and Corey, at the end of the day, or the end of the week, you're getting to a Saturday. Hey, let's all go to the lake or whatever and play with the grandkids. The last person they want to see is me. So they're like, we ain't going. You go do whatever. So I don't get to see my grandkids a lot because they're sick and tired of seeing me.
Yeah.
So it does present some.
Maybe FaceTime?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of them.
Put you in a little
bunch of them
chair
that
on a
couldn't.
picnic, and you can just kind of hang out, put you on mute.
He
I'm
wishes
just
he
kidding.
could deal with me daily on FaceTime.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. I'd
that'd be
be
a
fine
best
with
thing.
that because I can hang up on them whenever I need to at that point.
True. And I wouldn't know how to turn it back on to get back on FaceTime. So
I'm going to write you a letter when you get this
exactly
call.
right. So it's been challenging, in that respect. It really has.
Right. And I'm sure it's never going to be perfect, but I mean, how has the dynamic changed since being on the show? Because I'm sure once the show got started, you understood that we kind of have to act a certain way. We can't be down each other's throats 24/7. We have to actually act a certain way. So
Right.
how did that, kind of maybe help your relationship and, all that good stuff?
I feel like it helped because, I saw him a lot before, but at the end of the day, I'd go home with him. We do this show and we end up traveling a whole lot more. I'm stuck with him 24 hours a day instead of, just 8 to 10.
Could be worse things.
So,
Did you guys ever drive separate?
no.
Like somewhere close by, you just drive your own car?
that would cost the production company too much money, so we
Yeah,
had
they
to
won't
ride
do that.
together.
Out of pocket, I'll pay for it myself.
Yeah, sometimes you want to, exactly. But, you get to where, initially I wouldn't want to go travel with him or do anything like that. But as you get into the show, we're expected to be together as we go do everything. So you had to kind of at first suck it up and deal with it and, at least act like you like him in the public. But then, I think it's gotten a lot better since we've started doing all this. I think we've had a little bit more respect for each other and been able to work together a little bit more since we've been spending so much time, together.
Did you feel like once you actually started to, work with your dad and actually being kind of in the trenches, that you just understood why he might have been the way he was when you were younger and growing up? Because I think there's a lot of things that myself and I know you, Tyler, we have a lot more respect for our parents once we got older and we had to go through some of those experiences.
Right.
And you're like, you know what? Now I understand why you might have done what you did because, stuff's difficult. And you got to do what you got to do.
I mean, you deal with a lot of difficult situations during the day. Nothing's perfect. Some customers are a complete pain in the butt, and it's just you work with that all day long, and it's hard to turn that off at the end of the day and go home and not be upset, not be angry, not try and carry all that with you. So it definitely is something you have to learn to do, which is still something I'm working on.
Yeah. And dealing with swimming pools from a service point of view, building a pool, whatever you're doing in swimming pool industry, it seems like it's always changing. Even if you build pools, like one pool is nothing like the other one,
No.
even if it's the same shape, in the same neighborhood. There's something about it that's different. And you really got to kind of learn to have that patience. But I'm sure you guys have kind of learned a lot through being on the show and working together.
Yeah, we have. I mean, and I tell both him and Corey all the time. I mean, I still don't think they share my passion, for the industry. I don't think that they are as passionate as I am yet, but I see them getting there. I see them starting to take ownership of the company and what we're doing and the pride of everything that we try and do. And, I'm hoping that it gets there, but it is something that I'm really, really passionate about. And I can't expect them to be born with that, just, okay, here. I did at first, and I was bad about that. I expected them to want it just the way I wanted it, and it wasn't like that for a while.
I feel like I would not be so motivated because it's like your company. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I would be passionate to go out and build my own company. You and your brother ever have that feeling like this is your company? and that's why you're passionate about it. I would maybe be the way you want me to be if I kind of built my own thing.
Right. And that's something we're working our way into is, as he's getting older, as you can see, transitioning him out. So us taking more responsibilities.
It's the whole thing.
Poor Kyle, you don't look old, man.
It's
You look
always
good.
It's just, I don't get it.
But, taking on, new responsibilities and, with responsibilities, then you take a lot more pride in what you're doing, how you're running things, running the jobs, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would say definitely in the beginning, it's just a job. I wanted to, end of the day, punch out the clock, and I didn't care at the end
Punch
of
out
the
his
day.
dad.
Yeah,
That too, yeah.
But then you start getting into, the kind of projects we do are pretty amazing when you see where they start and where they finish and what the amount of work and everything that goes into them. And then you can step back and say, hey, I did that. You take a lot of pride in that and look at that and say, we may not be perfect, but we're pretty good at what we do. And, at the end of the day, I'm really proud of what we put out there.
Awesome. Thank you.
We want to thank Pentair for sponsoring the show. Here at Pool Chasers, we always try to stay on top of everything pool related, which is why we will be attending Pentair's upcoming webinar on the changes the Department of Energy will be making. These DOE updates will greatly impact your business, which is why Pentair is here to help you navigate and prepare for what's ahead. You can expect some major impact on the elimination of SKUs for hundreds of single-speed pumps, so this is not something you're going to want to miss. By attending the webinar, you're choosing what's best for your customers, and you're going to learn how to make a better profit selling variable speed pumps. Tune in to hear just how these changes will impact you and how to start boosting your sales now. The webinar will be held Wednesday, December 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So to register, please click the link in the write-up below.
So maybe you guys can talk to us a little bit about Peak Pools and what you guys specialize in exactly. Even we had no idea until talking with you that you actually had a service side to Peak Pools, which is pretty cool. So if you could share with us, what you guys all do, that'd be awesome.
Well, we like to think we're, in our area anyway, we think we're the best that there is. So we really, really strive on 100% satisfaction. In this industry, that's difficult. I mean, it's very, very hard to do. But one of our mottos is if all we do is meet your expectation, then we haven't met ours. We want to exceed. We want to go over and above everything that we do. And I keep telling both my sons and everybody that works for us, for that matter, that it's so important the way we leave the homeowner, the feeling that they have, when we're done with that project. We actually like to say that we become part of the family for X amount of months or whatever that we're doing, because we do take a ton of pride in what we do. It wasn't until a couple of years ago we started our own service company. We'd always just built, and then we turned it over to whoever was doing service. They'd do our startups, and then they'd carry on and get the service. And we're like, well, why are we doing that? Because we are given our projects are big. I mean, our average pool is probably 350, 400,000, and goes up from there. 1.8, 2 point whatever million. So they're high dollar pools. These people are not taking care of their own pools.
Right.
They're just not doing it. So we're giving somebody a business. So we're like, why are we doing that? Why aren't we doing our own thing and starting to service our own pools and all that? And then after the show, not after the show, during the show, there was we were getting phone calls from all over the world, emails from all over the world, not just the country, literally all over the world. We'd get 2 weeks ago, we were airing in France or something. We get 100 emails a week. We can't read. I don't know what they're saying, but cool.
Pull up Google
whatever.
Translate.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's exactly what I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Something like that.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. One of those things. So we decided let's change where our office is and open a retail store, along with the service. So now we have a chemical store and all that stuff. Because we had people just coming out of the woodwork to find out where we were. Can we come in? Can we buy a T-shirt? Can we get an autograph? Can we take a picture with you guys or whatever? So it's kind of changed who we were in that respect, because we didn't set out to do where we're at now. I mean, we really didn't. We just love building pools. We love what we do. We love putting out a good product. And it's morphed into something that we never imagined or that we never saw. And if we had the capabilities, we would be building pools all over the world, because we literally get hundreds of requests a year from all over the world to come and build. People willing to pay a lot of money just to have us fly out, design a pool. Like for a couple of years, I guess about a year is all we did it, until I just couldn't do it anymore. People would pay us just to fly there, say, oh, you're the pool king. What do you think our backyard should look like? And you sketch something out, they write you a check and you leave, that type of thing. And I didn't enjoy that, to be honest with you, because I like to connect more. We like to be a part of everything that's going. So honestly, we're still kind of finding our way, how this whole thing is going to work for us.
Very good. But you guys are physically still in the field actually working.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Every day.
Like, what does a normal day look like on a project?
Depends on the project and the phase we're in, but usually, starting out the guys 7 o'clock in the morning, tasking them out where they've got to go, trying to catch up with a little bit of stuff that we got to do in the office, paperwork, all that kind of stuff, and then going out to the jobs, checking to make sure they're doing it the way I want it done. Sometimes having them redo things, and just trying to make sure that you get its eyes on a project as much as possible, because at least in our market, we don't have a whole lot of subcontractors, so we can't call a rebar company and say, hey, come tie the steel, and then I'll go check it when it's done. I've got my own crews out there doing it, and so we've got to get out there and supervise them, and it's hard to find good quality, talented
labor right
guys
now, this market is
to do it, and
rough.
Just even supervisors, somebody that I can trust to go out there if I can't make it out there to go look over the job and know that they're going to have the same level of expectation on a job that I would.
Right. Well, what about you, Kyle? What are you doing?
Little as possible.
Yeah.
I think you earned that, though.
Yeah, exactly. My day usually starts, about the same time I'll come in. I don't really get on the machine anymore. I used to dig every one of our pools. Him or I would dig every single one. I try and get to as many jobs as I can and look at everything. There's not a homeowner that we're building for that doesn't know us personally or doesn't have our cell phone. A lot of people won't do that. A lot of people think it's crazy, but we're very, 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 very in tune with our clients. They expect to see us. They're paying a lot of money. It's not like the old days where you're building a $25,000, $30,000 gunite pool. I don't know. I don't think we have anything even under construction under $300,000 right now, and they go from there. But people paying that kind of money, they expect you to be there. They expect to be able to pick up the phone and you're going to answer it. I get calls on Saturday night. I hate it. I got to tell you, I cannot stand it. But I take the call, and whatever we have to do basically is whatever we do. He still won't do that part. I can't get him to answer the phone when I call.
No.
Yeah. So I am curious, how was it getting started on the pool service side? Because we don't hear a lot of builders taking on those pools, and we think that, that's a good move, because you could have a full service department that, if you choose one manufacturer of pool equipment, they can all learn that. And it's not, switching pool to pool, because normally, like our service accounts, every pool was different, mix match, or it was different. But you guys actually have all the same equipment. You have all the plans, all the designs, everything. So if there's ever any issues, the builders are right there to help out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that part, like you're saying, made it easy as far as getting started in servicing and cleaning the pools and all that. I would say our number one struggle before we really dove into that was finding good personnel that knew how to balance, and it's not just cleaning, it's knowing how to keep the water chemistry perfect, that I wasn't trained in. That wasn't something that I ever did, other than growing up. I was always taking care of the pool, but I know I wasn't doing it right based on what I know it now. Just throw in a little bit of stuff, but and then the people that we had, making sure that they went through the courses and were CPO certified, so that we knew that we were doing it the correct and proper way, and just getting a good staff behind you to be able to keep up with it, and making sure that all of our guys that were going out and servicing the equipment, fixing any kind of warranty issues, that you became a warranty center, and that they went to all the trainings that they could get every year to get a good level of knowledge as to how to do it.
And since you started a service department, has there been changes to the way that you actually build pools to maybe be more efficient?
Yes.
In the way that they're staying cleaned and whatnot?
Some stuff that, you don't think of as a builder because you're not cleaning them. Sometimes you'd get the guys, now that they're in the field, they're like, what if we had, down here on the catch basin, what if we had, an extra suction so it wouldn't be so hard for me to clean this thing out when you get down to the bottom? I'm like, that's a pretty good idea. Yeah, we could do
Never
that.
had
Just
to vacuum one of
thing.
those before.
How am I supposed to brush that wall over there?
Yeah,
Exactly. You start having to look at it through a couple different, lenses instead of your lens of that's beautiful and it's going to function and work fine, but I'm not going out there and cleaning it. So now that we have those guys in house, they kind of throw some stuff back at me, and I'm like, that's a good idea. We should do that.
Right.
And we're a warranty station as well, for all the equipment that we provide our homeowners. So it's a one-stop shop for them. They don't even know half the time if there's a warranty issue. We just take care of it, and it's done, it goes out the window, and they don't know. So they love it.
This is Randy Angel with Randy Angel Designs in Dallas, Texas. As a designer of outdoor living, one of the things I enjoy most is working with incredible industry partners such as Ledge Lounger. I'm always looking for new and exciting products to include in my design presentations that will set my designs apart from the competition. With Ledge Lounger's 3D files available for all their product lines, I can create my spaces around the specific pieces I have in mind for the project. From their more well-known in-water product lines to their new outdoor furniture and games, it's as easy as drag and drop, and my clients get to see my vision with clarity. And do you know what I've come to realize? The more clearly I can present the vision, the more focused my clients are on completing the project as designed. And this means an added revenue stream for my company as we complete more and more Ledge Lounger purchases. Download 3D design resources for Ledge Lounger's full collection at ledgeloungers.com/CAD.
So what led you guys to being on the Pool Kings show? Just sure did just come out of thin air.
It pretty much did.
It
was a very, very weird thing. I'm sure everybody in here has had an email or a phone call telling you about some rich Nigerian uncle you had that left you $8 million, and all you got to do is send them your bank account, and they're going to wire the money in there for you.
Yes.
It was kind of that same feeling. We kept getting phone calls from, production companies that says, we really want to do a reality TV show with you guys on it. Just give us a call. We're like, oh, yeah, okay. I've heard that one before. And it, he got the messages there at the office, 3-4 times they'd call. We never called him back. We thought it was all something stupid. And then finally one day he was in the office and he answered the phone, got in there, talked to him on the phone for about half an hour. And he told me, he goes, this could be something legit. It's something we can look into. I'm like, whatever. That's the last thing. I find myself completely boring. So who in America would want to watch anything we do? Because if you do it day in, day out, your job's boring to you. Other people think it's, something cool and something different that they want to keep up with, but it's not, that's not the way you look at yourself. And so, thought it was all a bunch of, bogus baloney. And then, he finally set it up to where they wanted to do what they call like a little sizzle reel interview by yourself in front of a webcam, and you're talking to a blank screen, and they just ask you questions. So, okay. So you do that. That's like half an hour long. You hear nothing back, and you're like, okay, well, that was a waste of time, but at least, that's the worst we had to do. And then we finally got a phone call a couple months later saying, hey, you guys were chosen. We want to try and go ahead and do a pilot episode of this. So we're starting to think, okay, well, this could be something real. So we nervous. As far as that first day, I don't know.
Talk about feeling like an idiot.
Yeah, you're standing in front of a screen. You're like, all right, tell us your name and where you're from. I can't even get my name out. Yeah, it was bad. But, got a little bit more comfortable. We filmed this whole thing. And, of course, they, not knowing how they want to film the first episode, boy, they filmed every possible outcome. Tell us today was a sunny day, Maybe it was raining, so let's talk about how it was raining today, or how this went well, or this was a failure, or whatever. And they filmed just overshot the entire thing. And then we get it all filmed, wrapped up. We think everything goes well. First episode's, in the can, and never hear another word. 3-4 months go by, it hadn't aired. We were both like, well, that was a colossal waste of time, but okay, glad I guess, we got to experience that. And then finally we got a phone call one day saying, hey, it's going to air such and such a day. Watch for it on TV. So we did. We watched it, and we're like, oh, we look stupid. Of course,
Yeah, you look
I
just
don't like
I
hearing
thought I
my
looked.
voice, seeing myself on TV. So, of course, you think you're the biggest idiot on TV. So my thing to do is not watch our episodes because
He hasn't watched.
I live them. Why do I need to see them? I don't want to see it.
28, 32, something like that. I bet he hasn't watched 5.
No. I don't want to
cannot
see myself
stand
on
to see
TV.
himself
I can
on TV.
understand that.
Yeah.
I go right through all the parts of our podcast. I want to listen to it, but where I'm talking, I go right.
Just
Skip right
skip
over that.
over that.
Sounds stupid. Just
Absolutely.
keep going. Go to people that know what they're talking about.
You're your worst critic, of course, because you're like, you sit there and listen to yourself and like, that is the dumbest thing anybody could ever say. It doesn't even make any
did
sense.
I really say that? Did I say that?
But, you
Like
know.
they're so smart. They understand what I'm talking about. They understand the question I'm trying to get.
Yeah, exactly. But then after that finally aired, we thought it'd go nowhere because, of course, they're throwing it in front of a test audience and seeing if it sticks. Then we finally got a phone call saying, hey, the ratings, the reviews were great. We want to go ahead and sign you guys into a full season. And, the rest was kind of history from there. We just went into full-time filming all over the place where we initially thought it was only going to be in the Nashville area.
Well,
Then
the
it
first
ended up
year
being
it was.
everywhere. It was
First year it was just Nashville.
Yeah. It was kind of a crazy
Then
experience.
it expanded. We did pools in Houston and North Carolina and Florida. And that's tough. When you're based in Nashville and especially when you got to go find somebody in Florida or in Houston or whatever and say, we want to partner with you to build the pool, but it's going to look like we built the pool.
Yeah.
We're going to, so at that time we become almost actors, to where we don't have a lot to do with it because it's their pool, their contract and all that. I mean, there's so much stuff that it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done is do that show.
Yeah.
Out of all the time that I've been in the industry, it's not fun. I mean, I guess it is. The first year was kind of fun.
Yeah, it wasn't after that.
The recognition, is good. A lot of people know you, and our business has doubled, tripled.
How often did they take your advice when you would explain to them that
Never.
zero?
None.
Yeah,
They don't care. That's the problem. And we get a lot of, like you guys are all in the pool industry, so you understand how things work and all that stuff. And we get a lot of comments on our social media or emails like, well, why did you guys do this? Or why did you do that? Well, we didn't do that. But the way they edit the show or the way they cut things down, let's face it, it's a 30-minute episode that our actual airtime is 22 minutes. And it took a year and a half to build the pool. How much did they really show? Wow. How much could they, and I'm not talking all the pools. Most of them took 3 or 4 months or whatever,
Right.
but we did a remodel in Kentucky that was like $1.2 million. And there was a lot that went into that job, and it got 22 minutes of airtime.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, there's no way you can even come close to explaining to the people, what's going on in that.
That's an insane amount of B-roll.
Oh, yeah.
You have no idea what
much.
he was saying before. They do a thing called OTFs, which is on the fly. And they would have me go stand in a corner or Justin go stand in a corner and say, okay, talk about what you did today. So basically, if you've ever watched the show, we kind of narrate our own show. So it's only our voices that you hear through the whole thing. So some of the stuff I say may have been said 6 months ago on another job, had nothing to do with the job that they used it on. Or like you were saying, they'll do an OTF on, say it was raining today and how hard that was. Okay, well, say it was sunny today and how great that was. Say we shot this pool today and everything came out good. Say we shot this pool today and we had nothing but problems. Because how they get to the edit bay, they need all of these cuts of us talking depending on how they want to edit the show. So if you don't remember anything else, remember this. There's not a lot of reality in reality TV. What we did is real. The pool is real. The work that we did, the stuff you guys see us on the equipment and doing, and we physically do all of our pools ourselves. But the way they cut it, the way they edit it, the way it all comes together, and trust me, we could never be actors.
No.
We are so bad.
Learned that really quick.
Another takeaway: check your emails.
Oh my gosh.
Respond
So
to those
bad.
random emails.
Like the first year especially, the producer would come up with this list of stuff that she wanted us to say. And she'd go, okay, we're going to say, and she'd read it to us, give it to us to look at, and it may be 6 sentences long, of this or that or the other, which isn't a lot of talking, but a little bit of talking. We go, you ready? Ready? Okay. All right. We go there. All right. Ready? Go. What did you say? What was that? Or we get like 3 words out and go,
Yeah,
I don't even
mine was
remember.
about a 1-sentence maximum. So if you asked me to remember more than that to do, it was
it's not that easy.
not going to happen.
Did they ever try to
really-
get you to do some like real drama? Like, hey, I need you to slap your dad.
He broke
And-
my arm on one of the shows. Cracked my elbow.
He's such a baby.
You did.
Yeah, okay.
Did I imagine that pipe flying out of the ground?
You shouldn't
smacking
have been
me
there.
upside the head?
You shouldn't have been there.
What happened?
We were doing a pool in Brentwood, and it was a house that was back from the 1800s that they had demolished,
Right.
and then built a nice big house. Well, there was some old, what was it, galvanized, I guess?
Just iron pipe and stuff that they
That
had in
was
the ground.
in the ground that nobody knew. And he was on the excavator, and I'm over there talking to somebody, and he grabs this pipe, and it's coming out of the ground, and part of it snapped off. And when it snapped off, he had so much tension in the thumb of the excavator that it just flew like crazy over. And I don't know why I saw it, but I just happened to catch it out of the corner of my eye, and I went like that, or it would have hit me in the face, and hit my elbow, and it broke my elbow.
What?
And, of course, the camera guy is zooming in and going
Get
over
his
that.
face. Get his face.
I was saying a few choice words that did not make air. I can tell you that.
Somehow it
So
was
can we
my
redo
fault.
that shot?
Yeah, exactly.
Justin, do that again.
Someone squirt
would've.
water on him, make it look like he's crying.
They wouldn't have had to. It hurt. I mean, it was not fun. So our camera guy is filming it and everything, and he, after what, like 30 seconds,
It wasn't very long. Yeah.
he
set the camera
goes, "This is not good." He's really hurt. So he sets the camera down, runs over there. He's like, "Are you okay?" Blah, blah, blah. And anyways, I get in the car and go to the emergency room. Well, before that, he calls our producer, which didn't happen to be on set that day. And I could hear it. She's on speaker. He's got the phone. And he's like, "Hey, Christina, we got a problem. Kyle got hit with this thing, and I think he broke his arm." Very first words out of her mouth was, "Did you get it on film?" And he's like, "Christina, he's standing right here." And she goes, "Oh, hope you're okay, Kyle. Ian, did you get it on film?" I mean, seriously. And then when he set the camera down, he almost got fired.
Yep.
Really?
Because he is supposed to film no matter what, everything that happens. So instead of being concerned for me, God forbid, he's worried about my well-being. He got in a lot of trouble.
So it makes you really question some of those other shows, like Bear Grylls and all that stuff. Like, if he's going to get eaten by a
I
bear,
really not
they're
get
going to
bit by that
film
bear,
you dying. They're not going to help.
Even if he's in the bear's mouth, don't you put that camera
Don't
down.
you stop
Let
filming.
him get eaten. Don't. Oh, man, that's wild.
Yeah, it
Well,
was-
I'm glad you're okay. Looks like the elbow's recovered.
Yeah,
and-
well, I'm still not talking to him. I think he did it on
Only on
purpose.
podcast.
He smiled. That's the part they should have got, because he was like laughing.
Did it make the episode?
It did make the episode.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing that.
My brother came to the excavator. I'm on it, and I'm still digging. I was like, "Tell him to shut up. He's being such a baby." He's
Literally
like,
did.
"You almost killed him." I was standing right there. I was like, "Whatever. Just get out of.
Just
you
get out of the
shouldn't
way.
be
Let me
there."
finish digging this pool.
So quick, I was trying to get him in the head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, he almost did.
That
It
close,
was
man, that
literally,
close.
if I hadn't done that, it would have hit me right in the face.
So dad is like a ninja, just blocking everything.
So speaking of that, I mean, the networks and stuff, how do you think they perceived the industry before they started doing this? And then kind of how has it evolved since working
I don't think
with
they had a
pool
clue.
companies?
Yeah, they're
I still
clueless.
don't think they have a clue
Yeah.
on how the industry works and how everything goes together. Because I know some of the guys at the California Pools, and I know some of the guys with, I can't think of the other name right now.
Premier?
I'm sorry. Premier, and also the guys in San Antonio. Anyways, we've all talked, and I know different stuff, and we all have the same issue. They think that the network think, not the network even, the production, I guess, thinks that no matter what size pool you're doing, our pool's being $200,000, $300,000, it should still only take 30 days. That's it. It shouldn't take any longer than that.
The homeowners would love that.
They don't care if it's raining, if it's snowing. Some of the episodes you watch, we're in massive jackets in 18-degree weather. Have you ever tried to talk when it's like 12 degrees and your mouth doesn't work and you're on, national TV? It's hard to do. Very, very, very hard to do. I'll never forget one we did.
I don't want to talk about that one.
This is no joke. So the pool was not finished till like December, and we were filming the reveal, and we had to go back and do some pickup shots. And it was literally like 15 degrees, and we had to take our jackets and everything off, go back to our summer stuff, and reshoot a scene that they messed something up, and they redid. And that,
Think warm thoughts.
You
Just
look at-
pretend it's warm.
you think about actors and
Like, I
how they
can't
deal
feel
with
my
that.
arms.
Holy cow.
Yeah, try not to shiver.
It's hard. It's really, really hard. But they're not realistic about their expectations of our industry.
No.
What it takes to do. They don't care about inspections. They don't care about red tags. They don't care about, I'm not going to shoot this pool because, this is caved in, or I don't like this steel. I want to change this or change that. That's not in there. So number one, we will not compromise, period. doesn't matter. We will not compromise. We will do it the way we believe it should be done, which we believe is the right way. And that's it. And we butted a lot of heads.
Yeah.
I mean, we seriously got into some serious trouble, some serious, fights back and forth, because we're not going to compromise. I don't care what the show looks like. I care what my customer ends up with.
Sure.
Because when the show's over, they're gone, but the customer's still there. So we had some battles. We really, really did. And like I said, it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
I'm curious, when you guys actually reveal the pool, like in the TV show, have they actually seen the pool?
Oh,
Yes.
good Lord.
There's
That's
only
the
one.
stupidest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I always wondered that. I'm like, they really haven't looked outside that backyard?
The
Come
first
on.
one is the only one that was truly,
The
they've
pilot
never
that we
seen
did, which I believe was called Tennessee Dream Pool or something like that, they were in London the entire time. In my 42 years, I have never built a pool start to finish where the homeowner picked nothing. They picked the shape of the pool, and they knew what they were getting, and that was it. They didn't pick the tile. They didn't pick the decking. They didn't pick the plaster. They didn't pick anything. We picked everything on that pool, and thank God they loved it. I mean, they were so that reaction was
That would have been a really
genuine.
bad shot.
God, that would have been terrible.
Dude, I have never in my
They're
life,
I
I have never
I don't
in my
like that
life
one.
been so nervous.
Yeah.
Who
I
picked
was
that
literally, I was shaking one night.
Oh, yeah.
Did I buy a house with a pool already here? An old, ugly looking pool?
That's
No,
looks
we
like a
just built that.
1950 something pool. I was shaking. I was so nervous because I've never. I mean, that's a big risk. What if they don't like the color of the plaster or the tile or the decking you picked? Or
That's
yeah,
that's really weird.
it was scary.
How
I don't
many,
ever
how
want
many
to do it
takes
again
do the
either.
families usually have to do in acting excited about their new pool?
Some
that they've
of-
already been swimming
some
in
of
for a
them
month.
a lot.
That one, the rest of them probably 20. I mean, it's more takes than you have.
Has
any
anybody
idea.
run and jumped into the pool and then had to reshoot that part?
We actually, so the mic packs that we carry, and you guys may know some of it, they're like $6,000
Yeah,
bucks a piece.
they're expensive.
They're very, very expensive. And we had a homeowner get pushed in the pool while he was wearing a pack.
They weren't happy.
No, that's a $6,000 hickey.
Oh, wow.
And we got like 10 of them on it, between everybody on the set. There's a lot. So after that, there was a meeting before every shoot. You do not push him in the pool. You do not do, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Because, that's not a good thing. That's definitely not a good thing.
That's wild.
How, so you were telling us like the process of picking the pools and picking the families. How does that work? It seemed you were telling us it's pretty difficult, like to get to the actual family that's getting their pool built. Right?
It really is, and it actually hurt us the first real season because we were telling everybody, we build your pool, you're going to be on TV or whatever, and that is not at all how it worked. So we would. So just to give you some examples, let's say we sold 10 pools. We would look at those 10 projects and we would go, these 5 or these 6, we think they'll like. The network is going to like them, so we would submit those to the network. So the network would look at those and they go, don't like this one, kind of like this one, don't like that one, we do like this one. And they may pick 3 or 4 of those and then go, okay, we like these 3. Now we need a bio. We need a family portrait. We need to do a background check and all of that kind of stuff. And then there may only be 2 of those 4 or whatever that actually get to air. So if they don't meet the demographic, as far as the age of the customers and the kids and that type stuff, they won't air it. If something's funky or something doesn't check out, they won't air it. So it got to be really, really hard. We just never asked anybody after that. We just sold the pool. Then after it was sold, we said, are you interested? And then we would submit, 20 to get 10. Because each season was 10 episodes for us anyway.
And what's the most common question a homeowner might ask? Like, do I get paid to be on the
what
show?
do I get?
What's in it for me?
Yep. What's in it
Because
for
you
me?
guys get paid to be on
We get paid. We get a per episode fee. We don't get any residual or any of that stuff. So even though we're showing all over the world, we don't see another penny out of it. But we do get our episode fee. And then the homeowners get nothing. The network, they don't do anything.
Really?
They don't help at all. The only thing they do is the day that they're shooting with the homeowners, they feed them. That's it. So we would offer a discount to the homeowner. And then if they get picked, we'd knock X amount of dollars off the pool. We would also, almost every project, I think anyway, we gave them something. So we would we'd give them a share descent, a water, whatever. We'd give them a
Ledge loungers.
yeah, we'd give them something just for their time, to try and, on top of the discount, just to try and, because it's a pain. I mean, they're
Those are good gifts. I've heard of people like, yeah, we give them Frisbees and floaters.
Here, I'll give you a hat.
Wow.
These hats.
Nice $10 basket there.
Yeah, exactly.
And believe it or not, from the start of the pool, and again, some of these pools take a long time. If it's 3 months or 14 months, it's hard to have a really good relationship with the homeowner for that period of time through everything throughout construction, because inevitably something's going to happen. We're all in the industry. Something happens on every single project. And just because we're on TV doesn't mean our projects go any smoother. If anything, they expect more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it makes it harder. So be prepared.
We ain't going to be on TV anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
Run.
we'll let you do it.
Never know.
Yeah. What do you think is one of the biggest lessons you've learned from being on the TV show and kind of being in the public eye?
I can tell you the thing that I didn't expect the most was the recognition. People, you wouldn't think that anybody watches the show. X amount of people, pool industry guys or whatever. But the more we started traveling and going to, the Houstons and North Carolina, every single airport we go to, people are stopping, asking for your autographs. Aren't you guys on that show? Or, we go to a restaurant and people recognize you. I never really expected that. It's kind of weird, to be honest with you, because we're just like anybody else. But it's kind of weird to get looked at all the time. And it's almost like, I know you, but I'm not exactly sure where I know you from. Or they'll come up and, do I know you or something? But you really notice yourself getting stared at a lot more than you ever did before.
You feel like the animal at the zoo.
It's just like you're always getting
they're trying
watched.
to feed you.
If I'm getting on one of my kids, or I got the grandkids and we're out to breakfast on a Saturday morning or something, and everybody's watching you, and it's I can't even imagine being an actor, on TV that gets millions of people, because it's such a small show that we have done, and we're that many people couldn't have seen it, but it's really weird. It's definitely something I was not expecting, and it's really it's flattering, but at the same time it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's just
Probably
strange.
the biggest sacrifice you have to make. Some of the privacy.
You got to be careful what you say, what you do, and people take stuff out of context. Or I'll tell you another thing. When we signed our contracts with the network, it wasn't one contract. It's like 6 different contracts you sign. So we have social media contracts. We got to tweet X amount of times a day and do all this kind of stuff while the show is going, or X amount of times a month. We have moral values clauses. There's so many things that you coming into it when they make the phone call and they go, hey, we want to film something. That's all you think about. They're going to film us and watch us. There is so much more.
Yeah.
That goes into it that you just have no idea. And you really got to watch your P's and Q's. And then the homeowners expect more out of you. People expect more out of you, which is okay. We're up for that task. But it's all the eyes on you is a little different. It's just something different to get used to. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, because I'm not I'm more of an introvert, not a social butterfly. So I don't like any attention as it is anyway. I don't ever notice people looking at me because I'm not ever looking around
Justin
anyway.
just goes, nope, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
Nope.
When people ask me, they're like, do I know you from somewhere? I'm like, never seen you.
I was just born last week.
Definitely not a
before
TV
in my
show.
life.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned it's doubled and tripled kind of the
It
business.
has.
What has it done for overall for the business side of things? So it had to have helped in some ways for sure.
It has. Oddly enough, if you're on TV, people think you're the expert at that. And we're no more expert than anybody in this room are. I don't claim to be better than anybody else. I don't claim to know more than anybody else. All I do is the best that I absolutely can do every single day. That's it. That's all I can do. That's all I can ask of my employees. We do the best we can do. If I can sleep at night, and if I know I've done everything I can do, then I'm okay. But the public, the people, they don't. You're like this pool god or whatever. You know everything. So where we used to give referrals, and I need 10 referrals, and your price is $1,000. We don't get that anymore. It's just like, please build my pool. I don't care what it costs. I don't have to talk to anybody. I've seen 10 of your episodes. You guys know everything. No, we don't. You know, we try, we know what we know, but for our business, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it's amazing. We actually turn down more jobs than we do right now.
I was going to say, you mentioned to us before, it's helped you be much more selective with your projects,
way
right?
more
Working with the
selective.
customers you want to work with, and being able to control that quite a bit more.
We turned down
It's over $2 million.
like $2.1 million pool or something like that. I don't know, 6-8 months ago, for a everybody, I promise everybody in this room would know him, very affluent country and western guy we had commitments to about 8 other projects at that time that were all in the $300,000 or $400,000 range, and we would basically have to tell those people no, or wait, or just deal with it. And it just wasn't. It didn't fit. I would have never been able to do that. 5-6 years ago, I would have tried to do everything I could, but now we're able to pick and choose a lot more, on what we're doing, and we've been blessed. It's nothing that we've done. We're no different than anybody else. We've been blessed to be able to get what we have, and it's up to us to steer that in the right direction, and make sure that we're doing the right thing. And it's like I was telling you guys before, I really want to shine a better light on this industry. It's something that I have done my entire life. 42 years I've done this business, and I've worked for what I consider to be one of the worst companies in the industry, and for one of what I consider to be the best companies in the industry. And I think we are somewhere, on the upper end scale of the better end, and that's what we want to be. But, there's so much negative publicity in a lot of different areas. Pool builders going out of business, pool builders taking money and running and, getting a down payment and you never see them again, or getting a gunite draw before it's shot, or give me all your money up front and I'll finish the pool. We want to educate people on, what not to do, and we want to educate people on the better side. Let's face it, we're in the business of fun. We really are. Yeah. We build fun. That's what we do for a living. That's what we bring to everybody's backyard. And we've kind of made it a goal of ours, with the little bit of platform that we have, is to spread that, spread the good of the industry, spread the fun, and do the right thing. It's not that hard. Everybody just do what you know is the right thing, and 99% of the time you're going to be right in your business and what you do.
Right. And I know we really appreciate it, because we've watched the show since the very beginning when we were building our service business. And it was the only thing we had to really inspire us, because it was the only fun, cool, sexy thing that was connecting to the client, the homeowner. And we felt like what you guys were doing, we were a part of what you were doing, because you seem like kind of the blue collar, get in the trenches and get that pool built. And it was always, inspiring, and it still is. So you guys gonna keep going? Many more seasons to come, or that's it?
We're done filming.
We're
officially no more film days?
Correct.
There's no more film days for us on Pool Kings.
Just reruns for the next 20 years?
Yeah, 55 years or whatever. Yeah. We were, without getting into too much stuff, we've had some disputes on the way that we want to do. And like I said before, we don't compromise. And it's going to be this way, or we're not going to do it. I don't know, honestly, if the show's going to go forward or not, if they're going to continue to do more episodes. I know we've been contacted by several different production companies and networks on doing different shows, still pool related, but not Pool Kings, other stuff. So, but they're the other guys that are doing it. That's their deal. I don't know if they're going to continue on or if they're not going to continue on. But I know for us, we've reached the end of when it becomes not fun anymore. You shouldn't do it. Sure. If you don't enjoy what you're doing. I get up every day and I thank God for the business that I have. I thank God for what I'm able to do, and that's all I want to do. I want to. If you do what you love, like the old cliche, it'll never be work. You'll never work a day in your life, and I can't think of anything else I'd rather do.
Right. Well, we've always enjoyed watching your guys' show. I feel it's really genuine and honest, and even talking about how they piece it together. But you guys have always been fun you can tell it's real. And after our conversations with you on the phone and different things, your guys' character shows. So appreciate you.
Thank you.
Sticking to what sticking to your values and not wavering on that. We appreciate you guys also being here. So thanks for joining us.
No worries.
On the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the international show. I want to thank you for having us here. Thank our sponsors, Pentair, Legendre, and Rendo Technologies, as they really helped us kind of put this all together. So we appreciate all that, and we appreciate every one of you guys being here. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for checking out this episode. If you want to find out more about our guests or the sponsors of the show, you can check them out on the links we have provided in the write-up below. We have also provided links to our social media platforms, so please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our tag is Pool Chasers. If the podcast has brought you any value, please do what you can to support us through our Patreon page by going to patreon.com/Pool Chasers. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to be updated each time a new episode is released. One last thing. If you're not yet in our Facebook group, join it today to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who are all trying to better the industry. Thank you all for the support. We appreciate your time and your ear.
See you out there, Pool Chasers.